Well, folks, this is it. It's time to see how well cinema can really stand up to literature. For today, we have what is sure to be an epic massacre. The battle to end all battles, a fight to show the true mettle of the cinematic world. Boys will become men. Girls will become women. And Ed Wood will become Steven Spielberg. And though heroes may fall, it will be a death to make cinema proud. Though their downfall is sure, they will die fighting. And they will be remembered as those who were both brave and stupid enough to take on this literary masterpiece. Matt, you said you were going to go easy on the war speeches.
Oh, all right. But seriously, can you blame me? This is my all-time favorite novel.
Yeah, I get that, but the hamminess is a little overwhelming, you know? Tell you what, why don't you just go and practice your next speech and let me talk for a while, okay? So when I heard that they were making a movie out of Audrey Niffenegger's The Time Traveler's Wife, which is my favorite book, I have to admit I was a little wary. I know that it's possible for a good movie to come out of a good book, but I also know that it's possible for a really crappy movie to come out of a good book, and I did not want that to be the case here. Thankfully, I was not disappointed. This movie not only stays true to the characters and plot of the book, but it also maintains the poignant spirit and timeless messages of this difficult romance. There is no doubt that the movie did the book justice, but is it truly better? Well, probably not. But let's find out why. This is Books vs. Movies review of The Time Traveler's Wife. We'll begin by looking at our two main characters, the time traveler and his wife, Henry and Claire. These are both fascinating and well-developed characters, each telling their own part of the story, and each with their own messages and themes associated with them. Henry is the one who always has to leave, who would like to be at home with Claire, but who is always forced to go away, possibly someplace dangerous. Henry also has the theme of destiny strongly associated with him, as he witnesses all these horrible events and is powerless to stop them. Claire is the one who is left behind, and is always waiting for her husband to return home. What's nice about these characters is that the messages and themes associated with them are not in any way diminished if you take away the time travel aspect of the story. Henry could simply be somebody with a dangerous job, who must leave at a moment's notice, put his life in danger, and witness horrible events that he is powerless to stop, while his wife waits anxiously at home for his return. We also see the lifetime of a romance, a childhood friendship, an adolescent fantasy, a young and turbulent romance, a happy, though sometimes troubled marriage, parenthood, and eventually death. We see the ups and downs of this relationship, of which time travel is merely one part, and we get to see both the characters and the relationship develop over time. And as regular Matt said, destiny plays a big part in the telling of this story, and we see that in the idea that Henry and Claire are meant for each other, both in the literal time dictates it and therefore it must be so sense, and also in the fact that Henry seems to be Claire's ideal man, and Claire seems to be Henry's ideal woman. In that sense, the movie gives us a wonderful character in Claire, portrayed by Rachel McAdams. We watch her and we can't help but fall in love with her ourselves. She's smart, she's funny, she's unbelievably attractive, and we feel the same pull to her character that Henry does. Henry, portrayed by Eric Bana, is presented in much the same way. This, however, is one of my problems with the movie. Henry is just a little too likable, especially in his early years. In the book, Henry has a lot of character growth to go through. We basically see two versions of the character. The younger Henry is kind of selfish and mopey, basically using his situation and his condition as an excuse to feel sorry for himself, and ultimately being destructive to both himself and those around him. The older Henry is more mature, because he has striven to improve himself and become more like the person that Claire fell in love with as a child. We don't get that duality between the two of them in the movie, and as a result there's not as much character development. So, individually, they're evenly split between book and movie, but what really decides it for me is the relationship between the two characters, and Rachel McAdams and Eric Bana have great chemistry on screen together. Now, the relationship between the characters is great in the book, of course, but I just really love seeing good actors act off of each other like this. And just like in the book, we get to see the characters at multiple ages with each other, and the movie does a great job of keeping the relationships equal even when the ages are radically different. In fact, the movie delves into one aspect of the relationship that the book ignored. In the book, we see Claire struggling with the relationship early on because young Henry is so different from the older, wiser Henry that she fell in love with. And while we do miss that aspect in the movie, we get to see that the reverse is also true, with Claire sometimes missing the younger version of Henry as well. Now, I do wish that the movie had shown us more aspects of the relationship. For example, we don't see hardly any of the scenes of Henry and Claire in the meadow. I think the movie only shows us 3, and that's really where the relationship started to develop. Similarly, we don't get to see the early parts of their courtship. But even though we don't get to see those scenes, the development of the relationship is still there. And although the movie focused mainly on their married life, it still showed us the lifetime of a relationship. We saw 2 people who were very much in love despite Henry's time traveling, and the ups and downs of the relationship were portrayed beautifully and realistically.